Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We have some more news when it comes to War Thunder, a returning premium, a devlog, and also a free vehicle through Twitch drops. Of course, we have the esports stuff coming on, and guess what? This week, it's the big kahuna. It is, of course, the M24 Chaffee. So, in this video, we're going to go through all of those, and then maybe some extra thoughts about some new game modes that are coming in. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe, and also like the video. Let's get started. So the first piece of news is starting tomorrow. We have the third set of Twitch drops for the finals of the esports stuff in War Thunder this year. It's going to be from the 12th of December until the 14th, and you'll be able to get yourself some pretty cool stuff. First of all, you can get a closer air support player background, which is of the F111, also some universal backup, Silverline booster, research point booster, and also a day of premium. And on top of this, you can also get the M24 TL vehicle. Now, this is the Thunder League M24. It hasn't actually been available for a decade, which is just wild to think about. But if you watch the streams on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can get access to it. Now understand, you have to watch the official esports streams, the War Thunder esports ones. They come in many different varieties: English, French, German, there's probably a Spanish one, and also a Russian one, which you can watch. And all you gotta do is watch them, have your Gaijin account linked to your Twitch account, and then claim the drops as they come in. You don't need to interact with the stream, really. You just have to have it on in the background, maybe watch a little bit if you're interested in the esports stuff, and you'll get yourself the M24. Plus, you'll get a new camo for it, which, as I've said, I don't really like these camos. They don't look great. Last weekend, they gave out the P51A. It took 9 hours to actually get the vehicle, so the M24 is probably going to be similar. This means you're going to have to watch at least 2 full streams of it. So the one tomorrow starts at 1740 GMT on the 12th. And I would highly recommend getting in there early because you don't know how long these streams are going to be. So if you get in on the 12th and then on the 13th at 1540 GMT and the same on the 14th, you'll be able to get yourself this cool stuff. So yeah, as somebody who has the M24 TL, it's basically the same as the standard Chaffee in the American tech tree. It isn't a premium, it's an event vehicle, but it does get access to a unique APCR round, which the standard Chaffee does not. The next piece of news is a devlog for the Super Hornet. And what makes this one interesting is Gaijin confirms that rank 9 aircraft is coming next year. They put in a developer note which says we would like to draw attention to the fact that the FA-18E Super Hornet and also other jets for USA, USSR, China and Sweden that are coming in line of contact means there are 4 vehicles at rank 8 vertically for these nations, which is something we said we would not do. This will only be temporary, as we would like to confirm that in early 2026 we'll be introducing rank 9 for aircraft, which aims to solve this problem by moving some rank 8 aircraft to rank 9, along with some economic changes. However, until then, you can still use aircraft at rank 7 to effectively research the new top-tier jets released in the line of contact major update. Stay tuned for more news coming in the next few months. This shouldn't be too surprising, especially since they started adding in top-rank premiums pretty recently, which usually means that they're going to expand the ranks. Now, when it comes to ranks are just a tool for Gaijin to be able to split up the research. It means that it forces you to grind through different lines of the tech tree instead of one of the specific ones. Ranks don't actually mean anything. They don't mean generation. They don't mean era. They don't mean anything. It's just a way to put barriers between or for at least Gaijin to force people to play more vehicles than they actually should, and also at the same time, so you want to buy premiums which are higher ranks instead of lower ranks, so they have a little bit more use. So it's only a research efficiency thing. It's not a tell of anything going to be coming. Whenever we talk about ranks as well, usually when they actually add in a new rank, it's pretty much just splitting up the top rank and then maybe adding in a few vehicles afterwards. This is what they did to ground, to air, and even to naval when you think about it in the mid-tier, or sorry, the mid-year of this year when they added in all the new bangers. So Generally, of course, when it comes to aviation, they'll be continuing to expand. They'll be continuing to add more and more stuff to it. But don't be too surprised if it isn't the vehicles that you want to see, like stuff like the F-22, for example. Even though at this point, when it comes to War Thunder, and especially aviation, we are getting up there. Like when you have a think about the Su-30 SM-2, which is pretty much a present day vehicle. Then you have stuff like the Eurofighters coming in with the AESAs, which aren't even fully in service yet. And of course, stuff like the Chinese vehicles, the J-10C, and so on. The only nation which really isn't at its peak right now is kind of America. That's worrying to say the least, because it means there's going to be a few next levels that America will have compared to other nations. But also, they do have a history area of the Super Hornet, which is pretty fun. The Super Hornet carrier-based fighter attack aircraft was developed as a major upgrade to the F/A-18C Hornet. A full-scale development contract was signed in December of 1992, and the prototype first flew in November of 1995. Despite its external resemblance to its predecessor, it was essentially a new aircraft, with a 90% redesigned airframe, featuring an increased proportion of composite materials and also new aerodynamic solutions. The increased dimensions allowed for a third more fuel capacity in the internal tanks and the additions of weapon hardpoints, while maintaining flight performance thanks to more powerful F414 GE400 engines and also an improved control system. To save time and money during the initial development phase, nearly 90% of the new aircraft's avionics were borrowed for the F/A-18C. However, with the start of serial deliveries in November of 1999, a program of consistent upgrades began. Block 1, which began in 2001, installed new open architecture onboard computers, an improved electronic warfare suite, modern displays, and a joint helmet-mounted sighting system. The next and most significant step was the Block 2 upgrade program, which began in 2005. Its key element was the installation of a new Raytheon AN/APG-79 active electronically scanned array radar, the first units of which were delivered to the aircraft in 2007. This upgrade, along with the modernization of the entire avionics suite and cockpit, dramatically increased the Super Hornet's combat capabilities, turning it into one of the most technologically advanced combat aircraft in the modern era. And that is the version we are getting into the game, and it finally means that the Hornet will grace top tier instead of being stuck just a little bit below. Also, Gaijin has brought back the Centauro RGO after, well, removing it not very long ago. This is brought back for Oman Armed Forces Day, and it's a FOMO vehicle, so it's going to be available from the 11th of December until the 15th, and it's at a 30% discount if you want to pick it up. This is pretty much just a copy of what we see in the standard tech tree, the Centauro 1120. I like the vehicle. The Centauro chassis is really good. Basically, you have a really good transmission along with a good engine, meaning that this thing is highly mobile, especially on stuff like tarmac. It also has the 120mm Otto Melara, which has a 5-second reload, so the same as stuff like an Abrams, and not the standard reload that you see on other vehicles like the 7.7s or 6.0s. So you also get the CL3143, which isn't as good as some of the competition. You know, you have the DM53, which is around, but the CL3143 is easily good enough to be able to go through everything that you face, as long as you aim a bit. You have the LWSLR, so you know when you're getting targeted by things, which is fantastic. You have smoke grenades to reposition, and then also you have a 50 cal, which adds on top of it. So for me, when I look at a vehicle like this, what I see is high mobile, high firepower, and also you can see on the dev server, they've also added this in, so you can actually see all of the different little pieces of ammunition. But high mobility, high firepower is a great mix. And also 11.7, you have the PSO, the Ariete, the automatic, and then also some of the other friends, such as the Certeza. And what this means is you actually have a functional lineup nowadays, which isn't in the top tier of the game, because 12.7 is the top tier, right? So if you get quantitative matchmaking, you will see some of the top vehicles in the game, but most of the time you're not going to. You're probably going to actually see more of the down tiers than the up tiers. And I think the gun on this, and also just moving around the place, is just going to be fantastic for it. to get going. And if you're in unfavorable matchups, you can always just scout the enemies and use your thermals to engage them at long range. So for me, I think this is a really good vehicle. I really like the Centauros. I've never had a bad time in a Centauro, and would highly recommend the chassis just because it's really fun. Italy has a ton of cool light vehicles, and this vehicle is also one of them. So this is available, as I said, until the 15th. So if you want to pick it up, you have a pretty short time to do it. Or you could just play the one in the tech tree, which is exactly the same, but you don't get the premium bonuses and you have to spade it out. Let me know what you think, as always, about the rank 9 stuff. Look after yourselves. Peace be with you. See you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.